Tonight, the countdown to Trump's tariffs. Businesses are bracing themselves for a new dawn in global trade as charges for goods entering America come into force.
The UK customers, we may have more of them, but they spend a lot less. Significantly less. So we're hoping that the American customers will still continue to spend.
Here in New York, talk of tariffs is being drowned out by the sound of bagpipes as Tartan Week builds towards its finale.
In sport, the Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers says he wants the Scottish Premiership to be bigger, not smaller. And Scotland's Sikh community gears up for their annual Vaisakhi celebrations to mark the start of harvest season in northern India. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. New tariffs for goods entering America will come into force from tomorrow. The US President Donald Trump has claimed the UK is very happy with how it has been treated in his plan. However, the Chancellor has stressed the need for a trade deal as financial markets continue to tumble. Companies here are waiting to see the full impact of the new charges, with around a sixth of all international exports from Scotland going to the US. Our political correspondent Ewan Petrie reports.
Businesses are bracing themselves for a new dawn in global trade. On the island his mother once called home, there is little faith President Trump will show Scotland any favours.
We're not going to get any leeway off him just because we're Scottish and we share some roots.
He's got his own agenda. Everyone's keeping their head down these days, aren't they?
Local firms here will be among those feeling the effects of the 10% tariffs due to kick in tomorrow.
We are really concerned. The UK customers, we may have more of them, but they spend a lot less. Significantly less. So we're hoping that the American customers will still continue to spend, despite the fact that it's going to be more expensive. But whether we then find that the average sale drops, who knows?
This weekend, around 60 whisky producers will gather here for the National Whisky Festival. They've spent the past few days digesting exactly what these tariffs will mean for them. The US remains the largest export market by value for whisky. Last year, it was worth £971 million to the industry. Last week, the Glenallachie distillery was celebrating winning the world's best single malt title.
The tariffs that have been put on are a bit of an issue. We've got off lightly in terms of some other countries, but we'll work with our importers in the US, Impex Beverages, that we've been working with for years now, and being members of the Scottish Whisky Association, we'll work closely with them as they then speak with the Scottish Government and the UK Government about how we move forward.
United Kingdom 10%.
Since the grand reveal at the White House, financial markets have seen hefty falls around the world. The prospect of a global tariff war could damage the economy further, even in the event of a trade deal being reached with the US. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
Meanwhile, in New York, the party is getting started as Scottish performers prepare to take over the city for the culmination of Tartan Week. The celebration of US-Scottish ties comes in spite of anxieties among businesses about what the future holds. From New York City, our Westminster correspondent Paris Goutsianis has this report.
Over the noise of breakdancers in Times Square, a different sound is drawing a crowd. Last night on the crossroads of the world, all roads led to Scotland.
What do you think of what you're hearing? Oh, I love it. Remind me of happiness. Happy people.
I think it's beautiful.
You're going to see us? We'll hopefully see you there.
Ceilidh pop band The Rolling Drones were promoting their gig at the after-party to tomorrow's famous Tartan Week parade.
We absolutely love coming here. We're just a little band from Glasgow and we do bagpipe pop, which is really quite unusual.
Growing up, if you told me I would be playing my bagpipes in New York, I wouldn't have believed you. And for such an amazing event as well, to be a part of New York Tartan Week is just phenomenal, and we're very, very lucky.
Since launching in 1999, Tartan Week has grown and grown. Gary Innes from Celtic rock band Manran is behind a new addition to the programme, a Scottish takeover of New York's top concert venue, Carnegie Hall.
A lot of people in America especially think about tartan and shortbread and Scotty dogs and all that kind of stuff. That is our country and that's our kind of music, and it's very important for me, as I say, to try and show how progressive our music is and where it's at currently today. And as I say, that's one of the main reasons why I took the gamble on hiring Carnegie Hall and putting on this kind of one-off historic event.
The people who promote Scotland in the USA year-round say Tartan Week is vital, especially in challenging times like now.
The diaspora itself of Scottish Americans is about 25 million individuals, so it's quite large. But if we expand that definition to think of it more liberally, we're talking about a huge group of people. They're ready and anxious to give back. And so the capacity for Scotland in the United States and North America and around the world is strong.
Paris Kortsianis, STV News, New York City.
Some of Scotland's biggest universities look to cut back spending and even reduce staffing levels. Unions and higher education bodies say the sector is in financial crisis. All but one of the nation's institutions have seen a reduction in international students, and they say more funding from the Scottish Government is needed to make free tuition viable. Lewis Mickey reports.
Scotland's universities are facing a financial crisis. Dundee University is cutting more than 600 jobs, and the University of Edinburgh is looking to save £140 million in the next 18 months. With compulsory redundancies not ruled out at Edinburgh, staff like Sophia are worried.
People are enormously anxious about their jobs. And this year we've already seen the impact of cuts, because the cuts started at Edinburgh last year. So some of my colleagues have really massively increased workloads.
A concerning time for students too.
You need staff to have uni running, especially with the president taking a massive pay rise last year.
I think they should really look into why they're making these cuts and do something about it.
Scottish students studying at undergraduate in Scotland generally get free tuition, but universities say that the money they get from the Scottish Government to fund that hasn't risen in line with costs, so they've got to find the money elsewhere. A big one for that is international students, but latest data has shown that every university in Scotland, other than here in Edinburgh, has had falling rates of non-UK students.
I think those statistics have actually just caught up with what we've been hearing from universities themselves for some time. There's obviously a bit of a lag within the data, so I think there is still a case for investment in the sector right now to provide some more stability.
Some say Scotland is becoming less attractive to international students and blame changing geopolitics as well as changes to visa rules from the last UK government. The university says it forecasts a deficit by 25-26 unless clear and decisive action is taken. This has sparked a debate on changes to free tuition, a policy the Scottish Government still backs. The Government says it's investing over £1.1 billion into universities over the next year and has provided an extra £25 million support package in the last month.
Our university!
Unions and higher education bodies say ministers will need to put up more cash to stem the bleed. Lewis Mickey, STV News.
An MSP who quit the Scottish Tories yesterday has defected to the Scottish Liberal Democrats. The former frontbencher Jamie Green's move to the Lib Dems was confirmed by the party leader Alex Cole-Hamilton at their annual conference. The West of Scotland MSP resigned from the Conservatives' Holyrood party, citing what he said was its reform-light agenda and Trump-esque style. A house has been deliberately set on fire in Edinburgh in what police believe may be the latest incident in a spate of violence linked to organised criminal gangs. It happened at Hay Drive in the Niddry area in the early hours of this morning and follows a number of cases of guns being fired and deliberate fires being started. This time the flames spread to a neighbouring property. A Scottish council has become the first to approve a blanket ban on mobile phones in school classrooms. Perth and Kinross schools will ban the use of mobile phones and digital devices during lessons unless explicitly permitted by the teacher from August. Early signs of water shortages are emerging in parts of Scotland following below average rainfall last month. Rivers throughout Scotland are running low to extremely low for the time of year. Scottish Water says reservoir water supplies are not affected. Businesses are being urged to manage their water usage. A man who admitted using a shotgun to commit a murder in Glasgow has been jailed for a minimum of 22 years. 63-year-old Malcolm McNee shot John McGregor in Milton in August 2021. He later died from his injuries. Co-accused Rhys Traynor, who admitted having a firearm on the day of the murder and attempting to pervert the course of justice by fleeing to Mexico, has been jailed for 54 months. The attack is said to be linked to serious organised crime. 2 teenagers have been charged in connection with alleged sectarian vandalism at a school in Glasgow. St Joseph's Primary School in Busby has been targeted over the last few weeks. Police say 2 13-year-old boys will be reported to the relevant authorities. Scotland's oldest electricity transmission line has been pulled down nearly a century after it was built. The G-Route line was built in 1929, originally to connect Yoker, Dellingburn and Braehead coal-powered power stations. Eventually, it served 70,000 homes and businesses until being switched off last year. Children across Scotland want safer streets for walking and cycling, according to a new survey by the active travel charity Sustrans. 84% of children said they would like more traffic-free paths.
Helmets are on and these pupils are ready to get moving. Cycling, walking and scooting to school is a regular part of the day for many at this Mogai Primary.
I just like getting my exercise in, and it's just more easier and it keeps me healthy.
I think it's good for their mental and physical health, like cycling and scooting. It's like good to be around nature.
I enjoy the wind going in my face and it's really refreshing.
But accessible cycling isn't always possible. A new study by charity Sustrans reveals children across the country want to walk and cycle more, but 84% say they need safer streets to do so.
Well, walking and cycling index data shows that safety is people's primary concern when it comes to walking, wheeling and cycling, so it makes sense that people are more aware of it now. I think it's becoming increasingly important as people become more aware of the climate emergency, for example, the cost of living crisis. Walking, wheeling and cycling and active travel is better for the environment and it's better for people's wallets.
Our junior road safety officers are excellent at promoting this, and in the next term they're planning just now to come down to the younger pupils and actually teach them road safety within the playground. And then our focus further up the school is making sure that there's safe travel in terms of if they've got a mobile phone, that they're not looking at that, they're concentrating on the road.
The Scottish Government has pledged to invest over £188 million in active transport initiatives over the next 2 years. But calls for safer routes are growing, and figures show 4 cyclists suffer serious crashes in Scotland every week.
What do we want? Safer streets. When do we want it? Now.
Last year, hundreds marched through this Bearsden street calling for better road safety after a 56-year-old cyclist was killed when she was hit by a lorry. The incident was the latest in a series of road fatalities and casualties in the area, which led to residents and local businesses banding together calling for tighter road safety measures. New road markings were recently completed in the area, and Eastern Bartonshire Council plan to introduce a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit across Bearsden later this year. Campaigners hope actions like this across the country will help more children to get on their bike. Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News.
Now to the sport, and it's Raman time.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Good evening. Brendan Rodgers says he'd like to see the number of clubs playing in the Premiership increase, not decrease. It emerged earlier this week league reconstruction talks have taken place at the SPFL. One idea is to reduce the top flight from 12 to 10 clubs, but Rodgers doesn't support this. Meanwhile, at Rangers, John Souttar says he's put contract talks on hold until the summer. Brendan Rodgers and his team are moving closer and closer towards the Premiership title. As the Celtic manager prepares for Sunday's match against St Johnstone, a team they thrashed 6-0 on their last trip to Perth, he also gave his take on the possibility of league reconstruction for the season after next, with a 10, 14 and 16 team Premiership to be discussed by all SPFL clubs.
Someone mentioned the possibility of it getting smaller or increasing. I certainly don't think it needs to get smaller. if it goes anyway, I think there's still a notion for me that we could bring a few more teams into the league. Clearly there's maybe issues around TV revenue. If I had choice, of course, you would play a team home and away, and that would be that. But the league is the way it is at the moment. It's nice that there's certain items of the game being looked at.
Celtic are just 3 victories away from winning the Premiership. Rodgers wants his team to sprint past the finishing line.
We want to keep delivering a level of performance, and like I say, the finish line is in the distance for all teams, with the games. But for us, we know where we want to be come the end of the season. So each game now, that's where our focus is on.
At Rangers, one of the team's most consistent performers this season, John Souttar, is out of contract next summer. He's put talks on hold.
To be honest, I've not spoke about that for a while. To be honest, there's been loads of changes at the club, so that situation sort of went on in the back burner. I've not spoke to anyone about it for a while. There's so much going on at the club just now. I'm sure when there's a bit of stability and stuff, then that'll get sorted.
David Gray is urging his Hibs players to keep their 15-game unbeaten league run going and secure third place in the Premiership. That after he picked up his third Manager of the Month award this season. Meanwhile, Hearts boss Neil Critchley says it's a job of him and his team to get the club back into Europe next season. Jamie Borthwick reports.
Picking up a third monthly award, David Gray is steering Hibs on a record-breaking run of form. And after taking the club from relegation fight to European race, he's clear there can be no let-up.
Obviously we're third now, so teams are now chasing us. That was something I talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago, about having to change the narrative of the group. But if you win games, nobody can catch you. And I think the form we're in at the minute, the feeling around the group at the moment is everyone's just desperate to try and keep that run going.
That streak without a loss will come under severe scrutiny when Hibs face Rangers at Ibrox tomorrow.
As we've shown over the last 15 league games, that we've been pretty ruthless in both boxes. When you play the top two, that whenever you give them a chance, they normally take it. So we just got to be really solid and compact.
Craig Halkett returned to the Hearts squad for last week's match at Celtic Park and wants to play his part in sealing the turnaround in fortunes at Tynecastle.
That's something that's drove myself and the other injured boys to work hard and get back fit as soon as we can. We haven't rushed things by all means, but we've worked hard. And also the thought of a semi-final and potentially a final to play for, and top 6 in European places, it could be a really exciting end of the season.
We want to be a club and a team that's in Europe every single season. That's what we want to be fighting for. That's our job. So on Sunday we need to go out and do our job well and give ourselves the best chance of winning games. And if you win games of football, then we'll give ourselves a chance of hopefully being in Europe at the end of the season.
Hearts host top 6 rivals Dundee United on Sunday. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
St Mirren manager Stephen Robinson says his team haven't been given enough credit for a third successive tilt at a top 6 finish. With 2 rounds of fixtures to go before the split, the Saints are in 7th place, 1 point behind Hearts. Robinson's side are away to Dundee tomorrow.
I personally don't think the players have had enough credit for it. It's now expected that St Mirren should be in the running for a top 6 place, and I read articles saying that we should be. I'm not sure what that's based on, bar the quality of the players, the quality of the recruitment. So it's credit to them if they were, with 2 games to go.
Now, Scotland's women's side faced Germany in their latest Nations League match at Tannadice tonight. Chris Harvey is there for us.
Well, good evening from Tannadice Stadium, Rahman, where the atmosphere is already building, as you can hear, ahead of this Nations League A match. Scotland against Germany, and not just any Germany, they're the 3rd ranked nation in the world. A massive test for the Scots, but one they think they can meet.
Germany is one of the best teams in the world. We know that, and it's going to be a really tough game for us. I mean, they've got so many amazing players, they have so many strengths as a team, but also as well, we have strengths as a team and we have really good players as well. So it's about us turning up on the day and implementing our game plan and hopefully getting a result from it.
It will be a tough test indeed here for the Scots, but they just narrowly lost out to Austria and the Netherlands. In fact, took the lead against Netherlands at Hampden in their last match. Can they win here tonight? We'll have to find out. Kick-off here is at 7:35.
And good luck to Scotland. To rugby, and it's a big weekend for Edinburgh and Glasgow Warriors. Sean Everett's team host South African side Lions in the last 16 of the Challenge Cup tonight, while Glasgow Warriors are aiming to qualify to the quarterfinals of the Champions Cup. They take on Leicester at Scotstoun tomorrow night.
It's a competition that, you know, there's got a bit of prestige to it, and obviously it is an opportunity for a trophy as well. We play the Lions in the second round of this competition, or third round of the competition, and yeah, it's going to be really exciting. We put ourselves in a good position.
Great to have a round of 16 tie at home. You know, Leicester are a quality team, been pretty consistent in the Premiership this year, so it's obviously going to be a huge challenge, but you'd expect nothing less at this stage in Europe.
And finally, the world's greatest steeplechase, the Grand National, takes place at Aintree tomorrow. Last year's winner, I Am Maximus, is currently the 6-1 favourite. And you can watch tomorrow's race live on STV. It gets underway at 4 o'clock.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
And that is all sport for me tonight. Grand National Day can only mean one thing for me, John. Empty pocket.
Cheers, Robert. Thank you. Now, Sean has the weather forecast, and it starts with skincare.
Hello there. Well, if you're an avid user of lip balms, hand moisturisers, you've probably been using a lot more recently because the wind is really drying things out. Not just our skin, of course, the ground. And we've seen some fires recently in parts of Midlothian, Stirlingshire, up over the Kilpatrick Hills as well. And there is still the risk of some fires as we go through the weekend into next week. Of course, there's the obvious things to watch out for: matches, barbecues, cigarettes. Don't dispose of those, certainly with the very dry ground around just now. And also glass you need to be particularly careful with. Now, we've got a high fire risk through this weekend, especially in the hills just to the south of Eaglesham and to the north and east of Muirkirk. But for all areas, be careful this weekend. Let's have a look at the forecast.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, it feels as if these blue skies are never going to end in some spots and are going to continue into next week, and it will be turning quite a bit warmer next week as well. For the time being, though, quite a chilly old breeze coming in from the east. And that breeze bringing low cloud in. It's been coming into parts of Fife and Falkirk today, and it will stretch its way westwards through the central belt towards the likes of Glasgow, North Lanarkshire, Renfrewshire, Inverclyde and Bartonshire into tomorrow morning, perhaps into a few of the wee glens and valleys around North Ayrshire as well. But that clears away back towards the east, and then tomorrow another day with brilliant blue skies, but again that chilly easterly breeze. And if you're in the shade and you've got that breeze, it is going to feel cold out there, but at least in the sunshine, if you can get shelter from the wind, it won't feel too bad. Now on the western side of Islay, 13 degrees, feeling decent enough here. Cool on the eastern side. It's the same on the western side of Kintyre, 12, 13, 9 or 10 on the east side. Now as we head on to the mainland, you can see lots of blue skies across the likes of Paisley, Johnston, Glasgow, Dumbarton, Lennoxtown, Kilsyth, but it will be a wee bit of a cloudy start to the day. But the sunshine coming through. The further east we go, those temperatures struggling for the likes of Falkirk and Carden and also Grangemouth. Temperatures probably, Denny, about 8 or 9 degrees Celsius, so feeling pretty chilly here, a bit better in the west. Temperatures rising 15 or 16 on Sunday, lots of blue skies around, still a bit breezy, but warmer next week. Falkirk could be up to highs of 17 to 19 degrees. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Scotland's Sikh community are gearing up for their annual Vaisakhi celebrations this weekend. The colourful event marks the beginning of harvest season in northern India. In Glasgow, it culminates in a colourful procession led by important community figures, displaying their unique traditions and culture. Rahim Cham met some of the people who make it possible.
Divine recitation from Sikh scriptures. Worshippers at this Gurdwara in Glasgow's south side began a 3-day prayer today, marking Vaisakhi. It is one of the Sikh calendar's most important dates, signifying the beginning of harvest season.
Vaisakhi is a very important festival for Sikhs because it marks the creation of Khalsa in 1699 by Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, which is our 10th Guru. On this day, Guruji introduced the Amrit Sanchar, which is baptized ceremony, and he gave Sikhs their distinct identity.
Normally, this food hall or langar feeds hundreds of visitors for free every day. This weekend, its volunteers are preparing to welcome thousands.
Yesterday they've been making samosas, so when people, when the Sangat come in on Sunday, they can have a wee quick snack here before they go. They can have like a cup of tea with pakode, samosa, there'll be like wee sweets like laddu and barfi, so the ladies have all been preparing that.
Sunday's procession will follow the same route it has for years, beginning here in the city's south side, all the way through to the west end.
The Nagar Kirtan always gets led by the Panj Pyare, which are the 5 baptized Sikhs. So the 5 beloved ones, they will be leading the procession, they will be leading the Nagar Kirtan, and then the rest of the Sangat, the congregation or the people taking part, they will be behind that.
Sunday's celebrations brings together all 4 Gurdwaras here in Glasgow, with over 1,000 Sikhs expected to attend. It marks over 35 years of celebrating Vaisakhi here in the city. Rahim Cham, STV News, Glasgow.
And that's your STV News at 6 for this week. From all of us here, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.